Stormwatch 12 weather with meteorologist Oliver Smith.
Well, Brookings is still stuck with the fog and low clouds, or at least the low clouds. It is 55 degrees, not much of a wind at this time, very light out of the south. And 55 is a very common temperature along the Oregon coast from Gold Beach all the way down towards Eureka and inland, where we're looking at temperatures in the 60s and 70s. In fact, upper 70s for Montague and Mount Shasta City. 78 and 79 respectively. 72 right now is your current temperature. In Medford, we're still looking at 60s and 70s east of the Cascades. 66 right now in Christmas Valley. So we're all a bit cooler compared to 24 hours ago. In fact, for Medford and Grants Pass, generally between about 5 to 10 degrees cooler compared to this time yesterday. That's because that front that moved through yesterday cooling us off, so it won't be as warm this afternoon. So our next system is way offshore. It's a pretty impressive system, but it's going to take its sweet time getting here. When it does, it's actually going to change our weather pattern overall. Talk about that here in a bit. But in terms of the forecast for today, it's going to be a beautiful day. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s, and then we're going to be climbing into the 80s. But then we're going to stop in the 80s. We're not going to get to the 90s, at least in the Rogue Valley like we did yesterday. So not as bad overall. Stormcast showing that we don't have really hardly any clouds with the exception along the Oregon coast, and they've been pretty pesky, not really burning off, but areas up to the north it has been, so it's eventually going to make its way down towards the south. Now for Thursday, we're going to be looking pretty nice overall. We'll start seeing increasing high clouds from the first leading edge of our system, but you can see there's some rain that's trying to make its way into the region. It's too far up to the north and west. We're going to have clouds on the increase on Friday, but that's from that big area of low pressure that we were looking at, and that's going to eventually wobble on in. But as for the day on Friday, we're going to be looking dry. We're just going to have a lot of clouds into the region. But this is 4:30 in the morning. Rain's getting closer towards the northwest, so it's going to take its time getting into our region. So the forecast for today, mid-80s east of the Cascades, low to mid-80s for the Rogue Valley. The Shasta Valley will be still hot into the low 90s and about 65 degrees over towards Brookings. Tonight, we'll be looking at temperatures cooler from the cooler air mass that we have over us right now. We'll be looking at temperatures right around 50 degrees for the coast, the Rogue Valley, Shasta Valley, a little bit warmer, low to mid 50s. And we'll be looking at 40s east of the Cascades, with still 30s into the Cascades itself. So for grasses, sagebrush and olive, still going to be pretty high for the next several days. No real relief in sight until we get that big area of cold air and the rain associated with it finally moves into our region beginning on Friday. But it really kind of hangs out over on Sunday. So Sunday would actually be our coolest day that we've seen in a little while. And then we get towards early next week, cool temperatures kind of hanging out throughout the area. So your forecast for the Oregon coast, temperatures staying right around, well, 65 to 70 degrees for the next several days. Variable clouds, but they'll increase as we go for Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday, where we could see a little bit of rain possible Saturday night into Sunday, and then again on Tuesday. Northern California will be 90s and clear for the next couple of days. Clouds increase and temperatures drop off into the 70s. Overnight lows into the 40s beginning over this weekend. For the Klamath Basin, 80s for the next couple of days. Overnight lows generally around 50, and then they drop off. Overnight lows will be around 40 as we get to the weekend, and maybe a few showers possible on Sunday and Tuesday. Cascades will have gradual increasing clouds with the exception of today, and then temperatures dropping a good almost 20 degrees between now and Saturday. And for the Rogue Valley, we'll be looking at pretty dry conditions, much cooler once we get towards Friday, only looking about 78 degrees, and then comfortable temperatures in the 70s through the weekend and early next week.